What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are breaking down week 23 of fantasy hockey, and for many of you this is your first playoff week, so you're going to want to pay attention to the schedule. You're going to want to pay attention to the off nights, and that's what I'm going to do for you in this video, guys. We're going over the best and worst schedules and the streamers to help you maximize your games. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. Before we start the video, guys, I wanted to talk about some new must-add players and some new deployment changes. I've just been so busy lately, and I know I said I was going to make a trade deadline video, but yeah, I've just been so busy at work. This is a sideshow for me in terms of, doing the work on the weekends now. So, yeah, my apologies for that, but in the comments below, I do have some information on some new must-add players. Regardless of schedule, I just think these guys are good adds for the rest of the season. I'm really liking their deployment, so check that out and make some ads if you feel like these players could be good for your team. I also quickly want to say, guys, head on over to Drafters Fantasy Sports. It's available in Ontario, all of Canada, and more. If you want to do pick'ems on the NHL, NBA, and more, you can use my promo code FIREDUP and get a 100% match deposit up to $100. So 20 gets you 40, 100 gets you 200. It's a super good deal. It's the best deal on this platform. So click the link in the comments below and sign up using my code. Also, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button. There's so much of you that aren't subscribed. I think it's something like 40% that watch my videos. Like, come on, guys, I give you free content. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. This week we have some very heavy nights. Tuesday 13 games, Thursday 11 games, Saturday 11 games, and then Sunday we also have 10 games on Sunday, which is not normal. So yeah, having players on teams that have a lot of off nights is going to be very beneficial. With having those guys on off nights, you're going to maximize your games, you're going to maximize your fantasy points, and you're not going to have to sit as many guys on those heavy nights. So if we're looking at the teams with the most games and off nights, the number one team is the Washington Capitals. I will say that the Capitals do have some tough opponents this week: Calgary, Toronto, Carolina, and Winnipeg. However, 4 games and 3 off nights is very good. That, those games, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that is going to help you a lot in terms of maximizing your schedule. So I would take a look at some players on the Washington Capitals. The Capitals are the only team that have 3 or more off nights, but we do have some other teams that have good off nights as well. These teams being the Dallas Stars, the Arizona Coyotes, and the Seattle Kraken. The Kraken have 4 games and 2 off nights. Very solid. Their, opponent goals against average is really good as well. So please take a look at them. And with the Dallas Stars and the Arizona Coyotes, they both have 3 games and 2 off nights. Obviously, you'd rather have a team that has 4 games, but having those 2 off nights is going to be very beneficial this week. With that being said, the teams that have the least amount of games, we don't have any teams that only play twice, right? So every team this week plays at least 3 times. That is good, but the problem is a lot of these teams play 3 games and have 0 off nights. So we have a bunch of teams here. We have the Blackhawks, the Ducks, the Sharks, the Blues, the Red Wings, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Predators, the Canucks, the Bruins, the Panthers, the Montreal Canadiens, and the New York Rangers. 3 games is okay, but all of them play on Tuesday, Thursday, and either Saturday or Sunday. So they're playing on a heavy night. It does depend on your schedule. Sometimes if you're lucky, you'll have open spots. Maybe on a Sunday for this week. You do have to check your schedule and figure out which teams and which players can fit into those off nights for you. But still, guys, it might be wise to drop some players on these teams that only play 3 games and 0 off nights for players of similar value on the Washington Capitals or the Seattle Kraken. That could really help you maximize your games and in turn help you win your fantasy week. Moving on, we have the teams with the easiest opponent record. The goalies on these teams could do pretty well, and their players too. We have the Blackhawks, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Dallas Stars, the Anaheim Ducks, the Los Angeles Kings, the Colorado Avalanche, the San Jose Sharks, the Seattle Kraken, the Vancouver Canucks, and the Minnesota Wild. Now, in terms of the teams with the hardest opponent record, the goalies on these teams could struggle. The players could underperform as well, so keep this in mind. We have the New York Rangers, the Philadelphia Flyers, the Washington Capitals, the Montreal Canadiens, the Florida Panthers, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Arizona Coyotes, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the New York Islanders. Moving on, we have the teams with the best opponent goals against average. So these teams play teams that generally let in a lot of goals. The players on these teams could overperform, so please keep this in mind. We have the Chicago Blackhawks, the Anaheim Ducks, the Los Angeles Kings, the San Jose Sharks, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the St. Louis Blues, the Edmonton Oilers, the Detroit Red Wings, the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Nashville Predators. Now, in terms of the teams that have the lowest opponent goals against average, these teams are playing teams that generally don't let in a lot of goals, so the players on these teams could underperform. We have the New York Rangers, the Philadelphia Flyers, the Montreal Canadiens, the Washington Capitals, the Buffalo Sabres, the Florida Panthers, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the New York Islanders, the Ottawa Senators, the Calgary Flames, and the New Jersey Devils. Moving on is the part of the video where I give you guys the streamers to help you maximize your games for this week. Like I told you earlier on, the Washington Capitals have the best off-night schedule with 4 games and 3 off nights, so having these Capitals players on your team is going to be highly beneficial. If we're looking at the Capitals players, obviously we have Alex Ovechkin. If you're in a very shallow league, Ovechkin could be available, but I doubt he is. But if he is, pick him up for this week, like I said. We also have Dylan Strome, who has a pretty low roster percentage. In the last month, this guy has been on an absolute tear. Super underrated. Great pickup for this week. And we also have John Carlson, defenseman. He has around a 90% roster percentage on Yahoo, so if you're in a shallow league and he's available, he could be a very good option as well. Now, in terms of some other options, we have Tom Wilson. Now, with Wilson, he's been really good lately. Obviously, he puts up great peripherals, but the big thing for him is that TJ Oshie was injured, and Wilson found himself on the first-line power play. Oshie, he's a game time decision today as I'm recording this, so I'm not sure how that's going to affect the power play. Hopefully, Wilson can stay on that first-line power play, but regardless, Wilson is still a solid option. TJ Oshie, if he's back, he's probably first line power play, or first line, second line power play. He gets good minutes. He puts up good peripherals. He's just a Band-Aid, so there's a good chance that he gets injured this week. I'm only joking, but I mean, yes, he is made of glass, so be wary if you're going to pick up Oshie. Now, in terms of some other options, Connor McMichael, he's currently centering the first line with Alex Ovechkin. He's playing pretty solid lately, good ice time. He's a very underrated option, especially in a deeper league. We also have Max Pacioretty. Doesn't have the best ice time, but he's been okay, puts up good peripherals. I think he's a pretty good pickup. And we also have some deeper league options that, you know, they don't get the best ice time. So I would say Protas. He's playing on the 4th line right now. He's okay. Sometimes he'll get 14 to 15 minutes. But some of these other guys, they're not the best, right? Like Lapierre. I can't pronounce this Russian guy's name, but he's playing on the 2nd line right now. He only gets around 11 minutes per game. So, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily pick him up unless you're in a super deep league. A guy like Sonny Milano, too. This is a deep league option. In terms of some defensemen, depends what type of league you're in, but Fairvey, I believe that's how you pronounce it. He puts up really good peripherals. Rasmus Sandin, he's solid. And then some of these other guys, they could be good in the peripheral department, but yeah, pretty much the guys that I covered, you're going to want to take a look at, and some of those other options I talked about will only be options in deeper leagues. I also wanted to mention that Charlie Lindgren has been getting the majority of the starts lately, so with this off-night schedule, Lindgren could be a very good pickup as well. Moving on, we have players on the Seattle Kraken. Not a big fan of Kraken players because they really spread out the ice time on this team, but there are some good options still, so let's break it down. In terms of the best Kraken players to stream, I would say Matty Beniers has got to be up there. He's getting way more ice time lately. If you're looking at the last like 6 or 7 games, it's over 18 minutes per game. You know, the production isn't necessarily there, but he's a good option. A guy like Yanni Gourde, he's been getting good ice time, good deployment. I like what I'm seeing from him. Oliver Bjorkstrand, always very good in the points department. I wish he got more ice time, but it is what it is. We also have Jared McCann. He has 7 points in the last 6 games, but through these last 6 games, he's only averaging 16 minutes and 18 seconds of ice time per game. So yeah, I don't love his ice time, but still, with this off-night schedule, 4 games and 2 off nights, Jared McCann is a great option. We also have some other guys, Andre Burakovsky, Thomas Tatar. They don't have the best ice time guys. I mean, Andre Burakovsky in the last 6 games has only averaged 13 minutes and 49 seconds of ice time per game. Very similar to Tatar, but deeper league options. Jaden Schwartz as well. Don't love his ice time. Eli Tolvanen, don't love his ice time, but he's amazing in the peripheral department. So if your league values hit shots and blocks, you're in a category league, he could be really good. And then we got some other options too. Jordan Eberle, he hasn't produced the best lately, but he's getting like one of the best ice times out of the forwards on the Kraken. So please take a look at Eberle. Eberle's got to be at the top of this list. We also have some defenseman options. Vince Dunn, he is currently injured. He's day-to-day, so you're going to want to keep an eye on that. If he is available, he could be a very good stream this week. Adam Larson, not the best producer, but amazing peripherals, so please take a look at him too if your league decently values shots, hits, and blocks. And then we have some deeper league options like Jamie Oleksiak, Will Bergen, Brian Dumoulin, some of these guys that I wouldn't necessarily tell you to stream unless you're in a very deep league. And in general, guys, there could be some other options. Brandon Tanev, Kyler Yamamoto, but again, deeper league options because their ice times are not great. I also wanted to mention in terms of the goalie situation, we don't know what is going to happen. The Kraken have 4 games this week in a decent opponent record, so Grubauer and Decord could be great options, but I don't know what the split is going to look like, right? They're a team that rides a hot hand, so maybe if you want to run both this week, if you're in a points league, that could be good, but yeah, you're just going to have to roll the dice with the Kraken goalies for the moment. In terms of the teams with 3 games and 2 off nights, which is good for streaming this week as well, we have the Coyotes and the Dallas Stars. For the Coyotes players, we have some good options. Obviously, Clayton Keller is the best option if he is available. Top line, first line power play, talented guy. I know the Coyotes have been absolutely terrible in the new year. Really, really disappointing. I mean, they were like inching towards potentially the playoffs, and then they just completely fell apart. But still, this team still has the potential to put up some goals. These players could do okay. A player, if you're looking at his production recently, Nick Schmaltz has been fantastic. He has 10 points in the last 8 games. He's a guy that I think would be a good stream this week if you're looking at his off nights. And obviously, we got some other players. Lawson Krause, great peripherals, solid ice time. We got Dylan Gunther, who's been decent. Logan Cooley, Matthias Michelli, Alex Kerfoot, who gets some power play time. He's been all right. Nick Bukestad, I think he's centering the top line right now with Barrett Hayden out. Again, this guy can't catch a break. And then some deeper league options in terms of the forwards like Michael Carcone, Jack McBain, etc. Only deep league options. We also have some defensemen, obviously. Sean Dursey, first line power play. He slowed down. He started off really good this year, but still, he's a solid option. Puts up good blocks. JJ Moser, Yusei Valimaki. These guys could be good options in deeper leagues. And then in terms of the goalie situation, Connor Ingram, he's pretty solid. I think he would be okay this week. I know the Coyotes have been terrible, but in a points league, he could be all right. Lastly, we have the Dallas Stars. Obviously, we have the top-heavy guys like Jason Robertson, Rupe Hintz, and Joe Pavelski. Jason Robertson's probably not available, but if you're in a shallow league, a guy like Rupe Hintz or Joe Pavelski could be available, so could be good options in a more shallow league. Now, in terms of the other players, we have some good options too. Matt Duchene. This guy has been a beast this year despite not having the best ice time. Very impressive in terms of his numbers. We got guys like Mason Marchment, Logan Stankoven. This guy's been a unit since getting called up from the AHL, so that could be a really underrated option. We also have Wyatt Johnson, who's been breaking out crazy in the last month. I'm a huge fan of him, and I'm going to be drafting him a lot next season. But if he is somehow still available on your waiver wire, please take a look at him for this week. We also have Jamie Benn, who has 9 points in the last 6 games. Not the best ice time, even strength, but he's still on the first line power play, so he is a solid option. And in terms of some other options, we have some defensemen. Obviously, Miro Heiskanen, doubt he's available unless you're in a really shallow league, but take a look at him if you are. Thomas Harley, he slowed down quite a bit. The regression hit, but still, he is still a solid option. And then we got some other guys, Esa Lindell, maybe Chris Tanev. I don't know. I don't really love Tanev unless you're in a very deep league, but in general, these players with 2 off nights could be good options for maximizing your games this week. That's the end of the video. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will catch you in the next one.